in the financial space. In fact, we'll take this conversation forward. Dinesh Khara, the former chairman of SBI, and Prateek Shah, who is the partner and national leader of financial services at EY. They are joining us now. Gentlemen, good morning. Thank you so much for joining us. Mr. Khara, I wanted to understand your point of view on this. What is driving this sudden surge in foreign investments that we are seeing? And this is largely in mid-banks. From a banking perspective, what is your take to the big update that has come by in the banking space?
Well, I think when it comes to the kind of investment which you have seen, we can broadly classify them into two. One is the strategic investors, the one like the SMBCs, and also when it comes to the ENBD, they are more like a strategic investors. And they have some presence through NBFC or their local branches, branches of the foreign offices. So I think they had some flavor in terms of what the financial sector is. And they actually are trying to ride on the positivity in terms of the better managed balance sheets and also strong opportunities for growth in the Indian economy. And that is very clear considering the fact that the NBD has come in with about, they can go up to 60% of the RBL bank. And likewise, even in the SMBC also, they have come in up to 24.6% and all. So I think one, they have a flavor of the Indian market, and secondly, they are quite optimistic in terms of the growth of the real economy, which actually gives the right of growth for the financial sector also. The other investors who have come in, they are more in terms of the private equity, and likewise even in the NBFC space also, IHL, which has come in Sammaan Capital, even that is also about 41% kind of a stake and also becoming a promoter. They are having a long-term bet in their mind. Very clearly, it has been established. So having said that, I would say that it is nothing but a confidence in the India growth story and also the better and the stronger balance sheets of the Indian financial system, which has attracted this kind of a foreign direct investment. When it comes to the private equities, even for that matter, when it comes to Warburg Pincus having invested into IDFC, even they had invested into IDFC earlier also. Likewise, RTI investing into IDFC, even they had also invested into this bank earlier. So I think they had exited, but now they have again re-entered into this space. So again, they are seeing that the trend is positive in terms of the economy, and also it's a good opportunity for them to really have the yield on their investment. Now the recent one, which is Federal Bank, Blackstone taking stake in Federal Bank to the extent of 10%. So I think Blackstone has been there in the country for quite some time. They were into the financial sector, into various other entities, and it was a good opportunity. And the reason why they are all picking up stake in the mid-sized bank is that first, the growth opportunity among the mid-sized bank is significantly higher. And also with the improved capital, their ability to undertake risk also goes up. And also, to my mind, there's an excellent opportunity into the SME space, which perhaps the mid-sized banks would like to really tap now. Because earlier they were all focusing on the unsecured retail lending. But to my mind, the decent opportunity into SME will probably be very, very promising various area for the mid-sized banks.
Interesting. Mr. Khara, just before we get Prateek into this conversation, you've been the head of India's largest bank, and you've seen the macros from a very close quarter. Now, with all of this, you mentioned this expresses confidence in the India growth story. Now, does this also open up doors for further deals and for further large institutions to participate in the India growth story? Because all of these investors are not small by any means.
I fully agree with you. And with the way these investors have come in now, I would say that some of them, for instance, ENBD, SMBC, etc., were having a familiarization with the Indian economy for a...
What is Blackstone saw good opportunities?
So and they could actually figure out that with those experiences and the opportunities, they actually have shown the confidence. So I would say that what you mentioned in terms of the possibility of other investors also looking at India, I would say that it cannot be ruled out. There would be, because when it comes to the India growth story, and if at all we're in a position to achieve 8% sustainable growth, I think the financial sector will be the one which will have a very decent run in a foreseeable future. And from that point of view, it would be very attractive for the foreign investors to really evaluate these opportunities.
Take that point. Let's get in Prateek Shah as well in the conversation. Prateek, thank you so much for joining in. What is your take first up on this big change or big investment that we're seeing in the banking space? And do you think this changes the competitive landscape in the mid-sized banks? As Mr. Khara also mentioned that there are more growth opportunities that we'll see in medium-sized banks versus large banks. And how does it change their balance sheet overall?
No, I agree with Khara Saab also. I think for Indian banks, this inflow is not merely about balance sheet expansion. It is about access to long-term patient capital that can fund credit growth, really help with technology modernization for a lot of these institutions, bring product diversification, especially at a time when domestic mobilization, has been a challenge. And obviously, the various investors, depending on whether it is a private equity or strategic investors, especially the strategic investors like ENBD and SMBC for that matter, will bring in a very different take in terms of risk management, digital capabilities, product expertise. And given wealth management as an area which is now having significant tailwind, and wealth is no longer limited to metros and other parts of the country, I do believe, there is much more opportunities. There is MSME, consumption is picking up, wealth is on a different trajectory. So I think the opportunity to arrive at that greater than 7% growth, this capital, especially patient one, is a trend in the right direction.
Prateek, just a follow-up to that, there have been the recent quarterly updates that you have seen from banks, or even the results for that matter. You have seen healthy credit growth, both in terms of at least in double digits for a major part of the private sector lenders as well. Has the trend improved on the ground? And with all of these reforms that you have seen with regards to GST and with regards to the income tax bit as well, do you see credit growth sustaining into the second half of the year and maybe into FY27 as well, and banks can capitalize on this capital that they are getting from all of these marquee investors?
I am an eternal optimist. I do believe, the worst is behind us. The regulator, the way the regulator has been very prudent with the supervision, the way the governance has worked. I mean, if you look at the capital buffers, for the banking system, or if you look at corporate balance sheets for that matter, I think we are well positioned over the next coming 2 quarters, as well as the next financial year, in terms of how the credit growth will emerge in the banking space. I mean, if you look at just private sector banks from 2019 to 2025, the ROA has average ROA of the industry has remarkably improved from 0.2% to 1.2% in FY25. So there is significant shift that has happened. And again, I think a lot of this capital will help significantly, as competition emerges, as you are investing on digital, a lot of that capital will help over there as well.
It's just not banks. NBFCs have also seen that money come in, Sammaan Capital, that big investment that came by. But we have seen instances like IL&FS, we've seen DHFL. Mr. Khara, what's changing in the NBFC landscape? And do you think this is something which should continue in the NBFC space as well?
See, when it comes to the regulatory oversight on the NBFCs are concerned, it has actually gone up significantly. And when it comes to RBI, they are probably treating NBFCs almost at par with the banks, and the compliance requirements for NBFCs have gone up significantly. So I think when it comes to the board governance of the NBFCs, even that has got turned up because of the regulatory oversight which we have seen in last couple of years. So I would say that that actually is the reason why there is a confidence which is shown into these entities also by the foreign investors. And what you mentioned in terms of DHFL and LFS, they were the case studies which actually taught a lot to the financial sector. And I think the sector has learned quite well in terms of if at all they have to grow, they have to be a long-term player. they have to be trustworthy. And in order to be trustworthy, there has to be due emphasis on the board governance and the compliance culture. So I think it has been very well received by the sector. And of course, on the top of it, the oversight by the regulator has also been enhanced it.
Interesting insights, Mr. Khara. Prateek, thank you so much for sparing time and joining us today to discuss this yet another large deal in the Indian financial services space. Now, thank you for sparing time and joining us today. $7.5 billion worth of investments and 3 major deals announced just this month itself. We take a short break. We get a quick chart check on the other side. Jay Thakkar from ICICI Securities joins in on the other side as the Nifty has now slumped to the lowest point of the day.